I'm Mark from Fighting Words. In this video we're going to be writing a story together. Now I have my laptop here and I have my flip chart behind me, but at home all you really need is some paper and something to write with. If you want to work by yourself, that's fine, but if you have family that want to join in, you can all work together as a group and it'll be great fun. So, to begin, the first thing I'm going to do is start thinking about everything that's needed for a story. So I'm going to brainstorm and write everything I can think of on this flip chart behind me. If you at home want to pause at this stage and do the same. So try and think of everything that goes into a story, anything you like about stories you've read or watched or seen before. And maybe think about the people who help to create stories. So pause your video and come back to me when you have your list. So, we should both have our lists of stuff that is needed for a story. So, we can take a look at mine. If at home you don't have all the same stuff as me, that is fine. There are no wrong answers for this. So, what I've written down, first I have author. The author is the person who writes the story. Today, that is you. You're going to write your own story. The illustrator. They draw pictures to go with stories. Sometimes that's the same person, so if you want to draw pictures as well, that would be great. I'm not great at drawing, so I'm going to ask someone else to draw my pictures for me. One of the key ways of telling a story is to use words. So I've written down words and pens, pencils, maybe some paper. They're kind of important when we're writing a story. One of the key things before you even get going is trying to come up with ideas. And to come up with ideas, you use your imagination. So those two things are really important for story writing. Then, once we have all that, so we have an author, that's you. You have an idea. Maybe you don't have one yet, but you have imagination. Now we start thinking about what actually goes into a story. So, I've decided on these as being quite important, but you might have loads more, and that's fine. I think characters, so that's the animal or the person or the toaster or the object that is the main focus of your story. The plot. The plot basically is what happens. So that's, if your character, say, is a dog, the story follows the dog and the plot is what happens as we go through it. Dialogue. That's characters talking to each other in a story. It's a really good way of making your reader get to know the character and get into the story. Any story where stuff didn't happen, that'd be kind of boring. So I've written action and stuff happening here as important parts of story writing. And then one good way to make stuff happen is to get your character to want something. We all have wishes and ambitions, so I'm going to get my character to have a greatest wish. And I suggest that that's what we do to get our story started at home. So, if you've got your list of stuff that's needed for a story, you've got your imaginations turned on, you've got yourself focused on stories, and that's great. The next thing we're going to do, so whether you're on your own at home or in a group, we're going to decide on the main character for our story. Okay? So what you might want to do now is pause your video, come up with the main character, come up with a greatest wish for that character, get that character to have a greatest fear, to be really terrified of something. And then we're going to give that character another character to interact with. So we're going to call the second character a best friend. So we're going to have a main character, a greatest wish, a greatest fear, and a best friend. And they are the 4 great ingredients for a story. If you're struggling to come up with ideas for that, you can go to the Fighting Words story generator. I'm going to put the link for that at the bottom of the video. That can be an easy way to get started. So, I have my key story ingredients decided on. My main character is Annabelle the Space Hedgehog. Her greatest wish is to meet the sun. She's afraid of darkness, and her best friend is the moon. So I'm going to use these 4 ingredients to create my story. You can feel free to watch me write mine. I'm only going to write it to about halfway, and if you want to finish that story for me and send in your endings, I'd love to see them. If you have all of your own main character, greatest wish, greatest fear, and best friend done, then please write your own story. Make it as long or as short as you want. Just write the story you want to write and send that in to us as well. I'll have all the details about how to send stories into Fighting Words at the end of the video. For now, keep watching if you want to see me write my story, or pause the video and go off and work on your own. So, I'm ready to start writing. Hope you can all see my screen. I have my main character, greatest wish, greatest fear, best friend all written up here, just to remind me as I write. Can be a good idea. You might just be writing in a copybook. That's fine as well. So, I'm going to start by explaining to the reader, because remember, you know everything about the characters, but you're not the ones reading this. So I'm going to explain to the reader who Annabelle is, and a bit about where she is as well. So, one day, Annabelle the space hedgehog was floating through space as usual when she bumped into her friend, the moon. Okay, so remember I talked about dialogue and characters talking to each other being a great way for the reader to get to know them. That's what I'm going to do here. Okay, but you don't have to. Some of the best stories don't have any dialogue in them. I like using it. So, "Hi, Moon," shouted Annabelle. She had to shout because sound doesn't travel very well in space. Now, what might the moon say in response? I guess the moon is going to say, "Hi, Annabelle. I haven't seen you in a while. Is everything okay?" I think Annabelle was fine, don't you? Yeah. Everything has been fine, Moon. I've just been keeping hidden from the dark. You were eclipsed last week, and I was afraid to come near. Don't know if the science of this stacks up, but it's my story, so it doesn't matter. Alright. I can understand that, said Moon. Luckily, the sun is almost always shining on me, so I don't have to worry about darkness. Now, so I'm going to think now about why Annabelle's afraid of the dark, kind of the origin of it. I mean, the darkness is scary, but I think there's some danger that she's afraid of in darkness, and I'm going to try and invent that and leave the story then on a cliffhanger. I wish I could
meet the sun. Sighed Annabelle. Do you think they'd like to meet me? Moon. Well, the sun can be cranky, warned Moon. But if you really want, I can arrange for you to meet him. That would be great. Noted. Well, this time she shouted because she was excited, not because sound doesn't travel well in space. Now, it's time for me to end this story with a bit of tension. So, just as Annabelle and the moon set off on the long journey to meet the sun, they heard a loud rumbling noise. Turning around, they saw a massive black hole speeding towards them. Dot, dot, dot. So, I have the start of a story. Well, I don't know if it's great. It's my story. I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to leave it there. If anyone at home wants to write a story that uses Annabelle, the space hedgehog, the moon, the sun, and a fear of darkness, that is fine. If anyone wants to finish this story, I'd be really keen to read your take on what happens next. But for now, you should have all the ingredients you need to write a story. So, away we go.
So, now that you've written a story, watched me write a story, or written an ending for my story, go away, keep working, make it as long as you want, polish it up, add pictures, and then send your work into us. We really want to see it. So, send it in to info@fightingwords.ie and we can look at pictures of stories, typed up stories, photos taken of pictures. Any way you want to send it to us is fine. We'll read them, put them on the website, and can't wait to show the world what we're all doing and what we're all creating at home. So send it in to us, info@fightingwords.ie, the subject line, story. Get writing. Thanks for joining me today.